Hey guys, it's Amaz here, and today I want to talk about Hearthstone's ladder and the meta situation right now and why I don't personally find it to be super enjoyable. I'm sure a couple of you guys share the same opinion, and so this video is to discuss some of those points. And I kind of nailed it down to three main things that's happening right now that other metas don't really have as much of. And the first point I don't make is that the diversity in decks right now is at an all-time low. There's not enough archetypes, basically. Hearthstone used to have 9 classes, and within those classes, there's different types of decks, right? So, for example, there will be the combo Malygos Warlock list. There will be Zoolock. There will be Handlock. You know, there's so many different archetypes. But now, if you're Warlock, you're Reno, right? If you are Shaman, then you are mid-range Shaman. And if you're a Warrior, you are Pirate Warrior, because you can't be Control Warrior, all the J Golem stuff. And there's also a lot of different reasons why you wouldn't play Control Warrior right now in this matchup, in this meta, right? Which makes it seem like that, there's not enough decks to play against, right? There's also the Pirate package, which is Small Time Buccaneer and Patches, which is super strong. And then there's also the Reno package, which is Reno, Kazakus, Bran, and along with other cards, which is super strong. The two packages also kind of make it so that the meta is more monotonous, right? When you go against a Warlock, Mage, or Priest, then you instantly realize, oh, this is a Reno deck, or this is a control deck, right? That's more specific. I can just mulligan and play like I'm playing a control. So in a sense, playing Mage, Warlock, and Priest is kind of like playing the same kind of deck. There's a few differences here and there. Warlocks have life tap, Mages have burn and whatever. It doesn't really matter too much, right? The main point is they kind of feel the same, right? Now, we also add on that Paladin Hunter is actually gone because, if you want to play Paladin, why not play a Reno deck? Reno deck does what Paladin does, but better, right? In a mid-range and more control style. And also Hunters are kind of gone because they can't really utilize Small Time Buccaneer and Patches as well as the other classes. So if you want to play Hunter, why not play the, Pirate Rogue, Pirate Warrior, or Shaman instead, right? They just have, they're just better at it. It just seems like that Hearthstone ladder doesn't have that much variety right now, and it's kind of hurting the diversity of things. It's also mainly because of the classic cards being too good. Warriors have Fire War Axe, and it's always going to be there. It's a vanilla card. It's never going to change. So that pretty much brings us to our second point, where there are just too few options when you deck build, because the pool of card choices is so small. So like I said, vanilla cards are just so powerful, right? You have Swipe, you have Fire War Axe, you have Backstab. There will never be a card that's printed in the expansion that's better than these cards that I just mentioned, right? They're just bread and butter. When you build a Druid deck, you automatically have, 6 fewer slots because it's automatic 2 Innervates, 2 Rafts, and 2 Swipes, right? They're just too strong. These cards are just like so above the curve that decks kind of feel the same. So now we're in like the 3rd year of Hearthstone, I guess, from release. So yeah, the first year of Swipe would be very interesting, whereas the 3rd year of Swipe becomes a little bit less interesting because people have already seen the card, people know what it does. We kind of want some more variety, right? And we would expect variety to come with expansions, but unfortunately, I think Mean Streets of Gadgetzan didn't hit the mark of introducing more cards to the meta that are good, right? There's too many fillers, basically. That's basically my point. If you look at all the legendaries of Ministries of Gadgetzan, only Kazakus and Patches are really played. I mean, sure, Aya's played, but I mean, the whole list of other legendaries, right? They're just not good enough. They're too techy, they're too, their effects are too janky, and they're just not good. And when you don't have enough options to deal with the things that are happening right now, such as Shaman, right? You have a problem. On the flip side of the coin, Blizzard also introduced a lot of high-statted minions, such as Cabal Talon Priest and Draken Operative, which are minions that are overstatted, right? So 3 mana 3/4 with an additional effect, and 5 mana 5/6 with an additional effect. And this effect isn't even small. This effect is give a minion +3 health, which is insane, right? And also draw a card, but discover a card instead, right? Like, these effects are so up there that you would expect that it's not found in a vanilla static body, but they are. And I do not like the direction that Blizzard is taking this, right? What is the solution to defeating broken cards such as Spirit Claws and Tunnel Trogs and Totem Golems to print even better cards, right? I mean, when is it going to end? So it's like, on the one hand, you have filler cards that are so bad they don't even see play, and on the other hand, there are cards that are so good that they kind of break the system. And to fix those cards in the future, to fix the broken cards in the future, we have to print more broken cards, right? So it's kind of like, when is this going to end kind of thing, right? And also, one other thing is that all classes don't have the same amount of tools. When you look at the Shaman package, they have AoE, they have high static minions, they have, good win conditions, such as like Bloodlust, and like, stuff like that. And Doomhammer, Rockbreaders, and the bunch, right? It just feels unfair that the other classes don't have, visible weakness. I mean, the best example of a visible weakness is Priest, right? With 4 attack minions, because they can't actually remove it and whatnot. But I actually think it's fine to have visible weaknesses. So on the other hand, why do Shamans always have all the tools? Why do they need a 1-mana Spirit Claws, like a 1-mana 3/3 weapon, right? And this AoE card, and these overstated minions, and a Bloodlust, and a Flame Tongue. It just feels like that Shaman as a class has just too much to offer. So when you're not playing Shaman, you actually don't have a lot of choices in your cards, which I think it's a problem. And finally, the last point I want to make for the Hearthstone meta being so stale is that there is a lack of change, right? If we're following Hearthstone, we usually go through periods of 4 months with no changes. A new set comes out, there's usually no changes unless absolutely necessary, and then there's a new set. Because Blizzard's idea of balancing cards and having a nice, good meta is that, there's new cards, so the new cards should be countering the old cards, and then as players, we are responsible to basically figure a way to make it happen, right? We want to brew up some stuff, we want to use our creativity juices to, make the best deck and whatnot. My point is that that's usually not the case, right? I mean, it's a good intentions, right? Obviously, it's good to have players, it's good to have it so that the players feel like they're solving a problem, right? It's like, how do I beat Shaman consistently and whatnot, right? But, like, Blizzard also needs to realize when, it's just not fun to play against a certain class, right? It's just not fun when a Shaman rolls a spell power totem and, the weapon suddenly turns into 3 and everything else is buffed, right? Maelstrom Portal is buffed and whatnot. It's frustrating when that happens, and when you feel this awesome deck and that RNG event happens, it doesn't feel good. So that's my first thing. And the second thing is, why not have change, and why not have card changes every month and stuff like that, like very similar to the other games, esports games like Dota, League, and Overwatch, right? Where they actually have consistent patches to change characters that are broken before the players actually figure out a way to deal with it. I mean, sure, you can actually say that 1 month is enough time for players to kind of adapt to it. But there's a very cool quote that I don't think I'm quoting specifically accurately, but it's from Ice Frog from Dota. He once said in one of his dev blogs that change is good for a game for the sake of change, right? So you're not really just, changing up just because of logic, but you're changing the game just for the change, so it can be more refreshing to play, right? It feels like that when you're playing like, one of the games I mentioned, that every month is kind of like a new game. Blizzard doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to change cards constantly because they believe in players' confidence in unchanged cards, so that if they craft the Ragnaros, they always know that the Ragnaros is going to do the same thing. And if players come back to the game, then they are not like too overwhelmed by all the changes, right? But I actually don't agree with that because, well, first of all, Undertaker was the thing. Undertaker was obviously broken, and it took them like 1 month too late. I remember it was. I think it was a 1 month too late for them to actually change the card and actually fix it because the win rate was skyrocketing and it was crazy, right? And 2, Hearthstone is a digital game, right? Why can't we just take advantage of that, of the digital space, and actually change up cards every month, you know? Why do we need to wait until the meta is solved, right, according to Blizzard, before we make changes, right? Why can't we have a fresh game every month, every now and then, and, you know, shake things up a little bit, instead of just waiting for, you know, the decks to kind of solve themselves, right? Like, my proposition, like, if I was giving, if I can change some things, basically, in Hearthstone, I would make it so that every time the set releases, like 1 month afterwards, there will be a balance change of however many cards. It doesn't matter. Just there will be a balance change. And then there'll be a mid-season balance change where, you know, since sets come out in every 4 months, then it will have, there's a balance patch in 2 months, right? And then the new sets comes out, right? So that, you know, ladder always feels exciting and everything. Because right now, part of the reason that I don't want to play, you know, ladder right now is because, you know, I can say 80% of my games, I'm facing either a pirate deck or a Reno deck. I don't really want to play against the same thing over and over again. And at least in Arena, there's a different, you know, there's different stuff that happens all the time, and I get to play with all these sorts of different cards. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening in ladder right now, is that, you know, the same thing happens over and over again. A lot of people raise up the points as well, where there's also not a lot of decision making right now, since Reno decks have a lot of 1-0s. So say that you're aggressive shaman facing against like a Reno deck, the optimal solution for the optimal play you can do is to play around nothing and just go face, right? Because if they Reno at 6, you lose. If they don't Reno at 6, then you probably win because you can burst them down with reach and whatnot. Like, this is not a meta I like, right? This is probably one of the worst metas in my opinion, because Pyre Warriors can actually kill you by turn 5, and it's not fun and not interactive for that to happen. I actually felt like that I didn't get to make a decision, right? And even the games I win against those decks, I feel like I didn't make a decision at all, right? I cast my AoEs as soon as I can, I heal as much as I can, and then I drop Reno, right? Yeah, Hearthstone used to be like, you know, there's a lot of, you know, a couple of interesting nuances, you know, sometimes I actually trade weirdly for a little bit of, you know, planning ahead, or, you know, we play off curve, but, you know, we're not doing that anymore. And I think hopefully that changes. So what do I look forward to in the next expansion? Well, my hope is that there's no more filler cards, so no more Worgen Greasers, no more, you know, hired guns and whatnot. I don't think making cards for Arena is a good excuse for making those cards, because drafting those cards in Arena doesn't feel good. Like, you never want to draft Worgen Greaser anyway, so why is it in set? Like, why does this card exist along with, like, you know, a lot of cards? Like, no more fillers, please. And the second thing is, I don't want any more overstatic cards, right? Like, I don't want to see a 4-mana 4/5 for Paladins that, I don't know, gives your Silverhand recruits +1 attack or something. Like, you get what I mean? Like, vanilla cards with an extra effect pasted onto it, it's not the solution, because, like, when does it end, right? So hopefully that doesn't happen. Those are my two big hopes. They already said that they're going to change some vanilla cards and adjust them and whatnot. Sure, that's fine, but there's always going to be some, you know, crazy cards out there, right? So I hope that, at least with my 2 points, that Hearthstone's going to be a little bit better for everybody. Anyways, I still look forward to the expansion. I look forward to cards, but hopefully the ladder is going to be cool, yeah? I'll see you guys in the next video, guys. This is kind of a long rant. Thanks for listening, and see you guys later.